Andrew Singler.
Her brother killed her boyfriend.
I lost my two best friends.
Was it murder?
He could have called 911, but instead he left him lying there and ran away.
Or self-defense?
My son was attacked.
Why did he walk into the apartment with an open knife?
It wasn't open.
He said it was. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've heard long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phill.
Wilson, take
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. Today, a Dr. Phill exclusive. A college student with dreams of becoming a dentist is brutally murdered. The killer? His beautiful girlfriend's 19-year-old brother. Now, headlines about the shocking murder had everyone talking. Michigan teen to face trial in stabbing death of sister's boyfriend. Text messages led to murder conviction of Connor McCowan. Connor McCowan, 19, sentenced to 20 to 60 years in prison for murder of Andrew Singler. That one fateful night 9 months ago ruined the lives of two young men. One sits locked behind bars for the next 20 to 60 years, while the other lies in a coffin. What sparked their deadly fight? Take a look.
Connor McCowan is charged with murder in the February 23rd stabbing death of Michigan State University senior Andrew Singler.
Court records say there had been an argument between Singler and McCowan's sister earlier in the evening that Connor McCowan, quote-unquote, took exception to. Police say McCowan stabbed Singler the morning of February 23rd. During a fight at the Castle Point apartment Singler shared with McCowan's sister and another roommate. He suffered multiple stab wounds, one to the arm and one to the heart.
The teenager's murder trial focused on text messages sent just minutes before the stabbing death of an MSU senior.
Texts read in court illustrate the violent and threatening texts Connor and Singler sent each other, ultimately leading up to their deadly fight.
Come on, let's do this. Talk behind my back. I'll destroy you any day. Then you wouldn't have a problem if I showed up at your apartment right now then, huh? Come on over, I'll embarrass you.
Tears fall from the face of Connor McCowan as he takes the stand today. Upon approaching the apartment, McCowan said he took the knife out of the center console of his car.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I was trying to be on the safe side. I was terrified. I thought he was going to kill me. I've never seen that bad.
McCowan said he used the knife to defend himself.
I grabbed my knife in my pocket, and I just had it like this. I needed him off me. I tried to get him off me.
Connor McCowan sat straight-faced as Judge Kennedy read the verdict in his murder trial.
Second-degree murder, guilty.
But behind McCowan, family and friends sobbed, hugged, and wiped away tears.
Well, Connor's parents, Randy and Judy McCowan, and his sister Shay, are desperate to prove the teenager they know and love isn't a cold-blooded killer. They say Connor did not intend to murder Shay's boyfriend, Andrew. He was attacked and acting in self-defense. Take a look.
The night that Andrew died, we were at the bar. He gave me a piggyback ride. He slipped and I fell off his back. He played it off like it wasn't a big deal. He was very drunk and he called me a he called me a whore, called me
Shay texted Connor that she and Andrew had been in a fight.
If Andrew and I got into a fight, he was a mediator.
Connor was getting all sorts of calls and texts and threatening messages from Andrew.
Andrew baited Connor 15 times in text messages to try to get him over there to that apartment, threatening to kill him and to stick him.
When Connor got to the apartment complex, he looked at his phone. One text said, "Hurry up so I can kill you." Connor was afraid to go up there without having any protection for himself.
The pocket knife was in his car. He thought, I better put this knife in my pocket. Connor was buzzed into the apartment. When Connor got there, the door opened.
And Andrew flew at him and started punching him in the head.
Connor said he couldn't get away from Andrew, so he took out his knife and cut him.
Andrew grabbed his stomach and then went down on the ground.
I got a call from Andrew's mom, and she said, Andrew's dead. We don't want you at the funeral, and we hope your brother rots in prison for the rest of his life.
Connor came home, woke me up, and told me what had happened.
It was just an awful nightmare for everybody. They arrested my son and read him his rights and took him to jail.
I lost my 2 best friends in the matter of seconds.
It's been 9 months now, and nothing will ever be the same again.
Now, Connor's mother, Judy, Father Randy, and Sister Shay are joining us today. And first off, look, I'm terribly sorry that this has happened. 20 to 60 years, you all think is ridiculously harsh, correct?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why is this penalty so harsh in your opinion?
Well, I think obviously Connor was trying to defend himself that evening. It was clear. I don't know if it's 20 to 60 years, if it's just an eye for an eye, and let's throw away another life because they lost a son. I mean, I get it. It's horrific that they lost their son, but he was like a son to me, and I've lost 3 kids now, not just one. So
I feel awful what's happened to Andrew, but my son didn't do anything illegal that night. He was defending himself. He was attacked.
Why did you decide to get your brother involved in the fight?
Connor is my best friend, and the 3 of us, Connor, Andrew, and I, we were best friends, hung out every single day. And anytime Andrew and I would be in an argument and things would get out of hand, I'd give Connor a call, and he'd come over, and he wouldn't get in the middle of things, but his presence would mediate the situation. Mm-hmm. We'd go back to laughing and having fun. And that night I was so overwhelmed and I was in so much pain that I just texted him.
Did your brother take it the way I did, that your rib had been broken because Andrew had attacked you?
I'm not sure how he interpreted it, but my text message didn't wake him up. He read the text message after Andrew had called him once, and he asked me, "Are you okay?" And then I told him I was okay.
Do you feel like you started the dominoes falling here when you texted Connor?
I don't think so, because my text message didn't wake Connor up that night. If Andrew had never called him, Connor would have read the text message in the morning, and I could have explained then.
Dozens of messages were sent between Shay, Andrew, and Connor the night of Andrew's death, as well as like 100 calls from Andrew looking for Shay. Will they prove Connor was fighting for his life? We'll be right back.
I get messages weekly from people I don't know, blaming me that I should be in prison instead of my brother. I received a picture of Andrew saying that I'm the reason why he's dead. It's just so painful. People will never understand what I'm dealing with inside.
My friend, he just been stabbed. I'm driving to Phill Hospital right now. I just got home to my apartment, and there he was. I don't know what to do.
Do you want to stop and get an ambulance? How's he doing?
Andrew, you with me, dude? I don't think he's doing too well. He's not responsive.
All right, so we either need you to stop and get an ambulance coming to your location, or you need to get him to the hospital.
I can get to the hospital right now.
Okay, so when you came home to your apartment, you found him in the apartment?
Yes, he's laying right there.
And is he unconscious right now?
No, he's just breathing really hard.
So where in his body is he stabbed?
I don't know if it's a lung puncture or not. I just picked him up and grabbed him and went.
Is he able to talk to you right now?
Andrew, can you say something to me? Anything, man? No, he's not saying anything now.
He does. Actually answer your questions. You need to ask him who did it.
Okay. We're almost there, dude. Hang tight, man.
What's your name?
It's Tyler. I'm his roommate.
Okay. Is he breathing?
Well, it's almost like he's choking or something. So I'm about to pull into the emergency in the ER.
That was the 911 call made by Andrew's roommate. Now, during the trial, one of the most damning pieces of evidence was that after stabbing Andrew, Connor did not call 911. Instead, he ran. He drove all the way home, ditched the knife on the way, woke up his father, and told him what happened. Then instead of calling 911 from their home, Randy and Connor drove back to Andrew's house to check on him. Now, if someone had made that call sooner, would Andrew still be alive? Hindsight's 20/20, but the prosecution made a point of all of this, correct? If he said it was self-defense, once he had incapacitated him and was no longer threatened by him, he could have called for assistance, but instead he ran and threw away the knife. And
he was afraid, I mean, afterward, but he never thought that wound was something that would kill, that Andrew would die from.
Well, let's take a look at some of the text that went back and forth between them. It was clearly inflammatory, but there was a very unusual undertone of civility between the two at the same time. Connor to Andrew, blank, I'll knock your teeth in, watch who you're talking to, you told me where you are, and I'm already awake. I have no problem finding you just to blank whoop your ass. Then Andrew back to Connor, oh, you're so hard, Connor, I'm so scared. Then Connor to Shay, okay, well, I'm about to get in my car and find him and beat the out of him. He's saying all of this blank about you and cussing at me and blank like that. So did you get that text? So you knew he was going to find him.
I didn't think he would actually do it. I think he was just really worked up that we were waking him up with this.
Andrew to Connor, I'm home, you blank idiot. Andrew to Connor, good call though. Connor to Andrew, then you're just adding fuel to the fire then, and I'll say anything to your face, blank. What makes you think I'd be afraid of you, all 5'11" of you? Ha! Andrew to Connor, good one, Connor. You're barely taller than me, blank. Andrew to Connor, ouch, you really got me. Andrew to Connor, you're pathetic. Connor to Andrew, then you wouldn't have a problem if I showed up at your apartment right now then, huh? Andrew to Connor, come over, I'll blank embarrass you. So that's their exchange. I mean, it sounds like a couple of little kids.
It does, it was horrible.
And then this one, which I thought was interesting, Andrew to Connor, blank you. Connor to Andrew, 20 minutes. Andrew to Connor, blank you. Connor to Andrew, I got to get gas first. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like, this doesn't sound like a homicidal maniac to me. When Connor's saying that, Andrew to Connor, great, hurry up. Andrew to Connor, so I can blank kill you. Then Connor to Andrew, will do. Andrew to Connor, not literally, but your ass needs to be beaten, and guess what, blank, I'm going to blank make sure it happens. So it's like, okay, I'm coming over, but I got to stop and get some gas. Okay, hurry up. And he says, I'm going to kill you. Well, wait, I don't mean really kill you, but this is happening on two levels.
I personally think to him saying I'm stopping for gas, and it was like saying you still have time to apologize to me, you know, you still have time to make this right.
Why did he walk into the apartment with an open knife?
It wasn't open when he walked into
the apartment. He said it was.
He didn't go into the apartment.
Connor said as he got out of the car, he opened the knife.
And put it in his pocket.
Yeah.
You understand how a prosecutor uses this and how a jury hears it. He goes from location A to location B. He shows up, opens a deadly weapon, puts it in his pocket, and then goes to the guy and then says it was self-defense. You understand?
I understand how it appears,
regardless
but it is legal to do. You can legally put a pocket knife into your pocket in our state. You can open it in our state. So what he did, yes, it doesn't sound that great, but what he did was legal. He was afraid for, he was hoping to God he didn't have to use it.
I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not saying it's illegal, but I'm telling you from having debriefed thousands of jurors that they're looking at state of mind. Okay. And he went in with a deadly weapon. All right, next, Shay and Andrew's relationship. Were they a volatile, toxic couple? Did Shay keep their troubles hidden from everyone close to her until it was too late? Is Connor a good boy who was legitimately afraid? We'll talk about all of that next.
Connor does not deserve to be in prison right now. He is an overall great guy.
We had about 40 letters that were written to the judge asking for leniency in his sentencing.
He's got a big heart, and he wouldn't go out of his way to hurt anybody.
It's been a trial full of tears as emotional testimony on the life and death of Andrew Singler plays out in the courtroom. The prosecuting attorney says Connor made the intentional decision to go to Singler's and knew how serious it was to bring the knife.
Andrew Singler was murdered by the defendant.
I think the prosecution and the family wanted an eye for an eye.
I was in shock. The judge read that the jury found him guilty of second-degree murder.
When I heard the verdict, I was devastated. I just wanted to take him and hold him and keep him with me.
We all yelled, "We love you, Connor. It's not over. We'll continue to fight for you."
Connor McCowan says the night he stabbed his sister's boyfriend, Andrew, that he was punched in the head and that he acted in self-defense. In fact, Connor doesn't use the word stab. He says swiped. So he did not perceive it as having stabbed someone, but instead he described a swiping motion to get him away from him. Did you have a relationship with Andrew that was violent? Was he violent towards you?
He was violent towards me.
Did you tell anyone about that?
I called the police, but then I hung up because I didn't want anybody to know.
So you never made a complaint, and apparently you never told your parents.
No.
Because you feared they would say, that's it, no more, which you would have.
Absolutely.
Did Connor have bruises or cuts or whatever that were documented by photograph that night of having been beaten about the head?
When he came home to talk to us,
is this a picture from that night?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see above his left eye, there's an abrasion there.
Yep.
He said he got hit on the top of the head, and I also saw some scratches below his T-shirt line because he mentioned that, and the witness testimony also states that there was tussling going on, kind of called it, wrestling, tussling after he'd been assaulted and hit 2 to 3 times in the head. Connor said there was one on the top of his head, which nobody documented, but I also saw scratches because he said he had his head down, and he said so he cut him trying to get himself to exit himself from that situation, and the minute that he could, of course, Andrew fell, and then Connor told me the roommate said, "Run," which I said, "Why do you think that was?" And he said, because he thought, okay, now's your time to get away. The roommate was the one that tried to hold Andrew back. He said with all his might, Andrew got past him out into the hallway. Connor was not in the apartment, and the roommate testified he landed a haymaker. So if Connor had a concussion, we don't know how one acts at that point and what they feel in their head that they need to do to get out of that situation. So was Andrew armed in any way?
No.
He didn't have a gun or a knife or a...
There was a knife right inside the house, but he didn't have it on him. No.
He entered the building with an open knife in his pocket, inflicted an injury on someone, and left him lying there and ran away and threw away the weapon. Those are non-disputed, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Did you consider calling 911 when he came and woke you up and said, I cut him?
I did not. I'm a dad. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a doctor. I thought, okay, he said he cut him. I said, did you see any blood? He said, no. He fell. I ran to get away from the situation, so immediately tried to contact Andrew. No response. Went over there immediately. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. It was 4 a.m. I just was awoken by this and in shock and not knowing how to handle it.
You say he certainly didn't murder someone, but what did he do wrong here?
I think it would have been smarter for him not to have gone over there.
Turn off the phone, not respond.
Do you think that the jury made the right decision here?
Absolutely not.
This is on appeal?
Yes, sir. We will be appealing that.
Have you spoken to Andrew's parents?
No.
We've reached out on day one. They've denied us any contact.
How is Connor doing?
Horrible. They've diagnosed him as severely depressed, post-traumatic stress, and so he's not doing well.
My experience, having spent most of my professional career in the court system as a trial science consultant, juries tend to get it right. They just almost always do. And if the result is unjust, it's generally because of what they were told or not told.
Mm-hmm. There's tons they weren't told. So.
All right. We'll be right back. Alicia says her husband never laid a hand on her and never threatened to kill her. She says his verbal and psychological abuse didn't leave bruises, but it hurt just as much. When she finally had the courage to leave him, the unthinkable happened.
Ambushed and almost killed on her way into work.
Last week, Alicia Waters was shot several times by her estranged husband before he killed himself.
Leading up to this deadly day in Fort Thomas, police concluded that Dennis Mathis had become enraged because of his estranged wife, Alicia Waters' relationship with her new boyfriend. The couple was going through a divorce. Police say on the morning of August 6th, Mathis arrived early at the one place where he knew he would find at least Waters, at her job in Fort Thomas.
And from my witnesses, that when she arrived at the scene, he came running from the building between two cars and ambushed her right there in the lot.
Mathis purchased a gun the day before the shooting.
Since being shot 5 times, Alicia Waters continues to heal.
Well, Alicia is not here today. She's not here because she's in the hospital. She's joining us via satellite from Shepherd Center, one of the nation's top rehabilitation hospitals for spinal cord and brain injuries. And Elisa is with her brother, Kurt. So, Elisa, Kurt, I'm glad to meet you and terribly, terribly sorry for the circumstance. Take me through the moment that this happened and you got shot.
I remember everything. I remember walking into my place of employment, and when you walk in, there's an elevator with 3 flights. I, of course, was waiting for the 3rd floor. I kind of felt somebody behind me, and I turned to look, and he was standing behind me with a gun pointed at me, with the most evil look in his eyes that I've ever seen, almost satanic, I guess you could say. And he started shooting, and I fell to the ground. I begged him to stop. He shot a few more times. Thank God the elevator door was open. I managed to get my head to the elevator, let it bang my head against the wall a few times to play dead. I believe he shot me 1 more time, and the next thing I knew, he had shot himself in the face and fell to the ground.
And this was after a period of time that you had actually gotten away from him, correct?
Yes, sir. I've been gone approximately 5, maybe 5.5 months.
You tried to get a restraining order, but the judge would not grant one. Why?
She said that he was, that he wouldn't harm me, that there was no harm. She saw no reason to grant this.
Because there was no threat of physical violence.
Correct.
Kurt, you look at this from the outside, and it's frustrating to you that the system failed your sister.
Well, of course it is. I mean, she did, in my eyes, everything that she could to prevent the situation from happening. She went and got the EPO, and just because she hadn't been, hit and there was no bruising, it was denied.
Sometimes people just don't understand two things. Number one, that abuse can be just as hurtful if it is verbal and emotional and environmental in terms of being controlled and isolated. And they don't understand how quickly it accelerates from that sort of abuse to physical and life-threatening abuse. And we know that one of the most dangerous times is when you are separated from your abuser. It's called separation assault, because abusers want to control, they want to dominate, they want to be able to get real tight grip on you to make sure you do what you want them to do. And when that grip loosens, then they panic and they go to the next level. They go to something desperate. And Alicia, thank you so much for coming and helping and sharing your story. Take a look at this sweet sentiment from a wife to her spouse. Without you, my life can never be complete. You complete me, my husband. It's Mort and Carrie forever. Well, it warms your heart, doesn't it? Well, here's the bad news. Mort has never spent time with this woman, the woman he believes is his so-called wife, Carrie. Why? Well, according to him, she is trapped in Malaysia and needs $9,000 to get home. Take a look.
I met Carrie on a dating website after my wife passed away. So I've had between 1,000 and 1,500 emails from her. She's told me that she wants to be my wife, and I know she's sincere about the whole thing. Carrie's stuck in Malaysia, and she's trying to get back home to me. Our plans are to get married when she gets home. Carrie did ask me for money on the second or third time that I emailed her. I think I've sent Carrie money 500 times. Carrie needed money for her hotel bill, to pay the Malaysian tax on her inheritance, to pay the IRS, the IMF. She needed money for the attorney. She needed money to eat on. The first payments that I sent to Carrie was through local banks. Then I went to Western Union, and then I went to UPS. I sent about $172,000 total to Malaysia trying to get Carrie home. Everybody that I've dealt with has told me that it's a scam. I believe she's real. I believe she's a very nice lady. I really want Carrie to come home. I need her in my life. This will be the greatest present she could ever have. And I can say the same. If I can get her home. I'm sorry.
But Mort's daughters, Kim and Anne Marie, believe their father is being scammed out of thousands of dollars by a catfish, a person who they believe he has never met, even though he claims he has.
I believe my dad is very gullible. If you come to his house to sell him a vacuum cleaner, he's gonna buy it.
I first heard about Carrie about 1.5 years ago.
My dad was looking for a companion. This is a guy who did not know how to turn on a computer prior to this. I definitely called on the whole Carrie story.
I was shocked when I heard he was sending the money. I said, Dad, I'm sorry, but I think this is a scam.
He told me, I wish you would mind your own business because you don't know the whole story.
He truly believed that it's not a scam.
I believe that there's 5 guys sitting around a round table high-fiving every time the money arrives. My mom passed away last year. Dad received the $40,000 life insurance policy and he wired that money to Malaysia. As we speak, her ashes are at the funeral home. We were waiting for that money to buy her headstone.
We haven't buried her yet. We feel really bad about that.
I believe that he is going to continue sending money if we can't prove whether this is a scam or whether she's real.
Okay. Well, Mort, I'm glad to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that your daughters believe that this person is not real.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you know about Carrie, who you love. She says she's an only child and that both of her parents are deceased, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's part Malaysian. She went to Malaysia for her mother's funeral, right?
Yeah.
And she inherited $2.75 million.
That's what they say.
And she owns a home in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Right.
Okay. And she's an RN, but she's not working right now. She's unemployed.
She just got through with RN school when I met her or got to know who she was.
Okay. And she's stuck in Malaysia, and she's trying to get the inheritance back to the U.S.
Yeah. Her mom's attorney met her at the funeral and told her about the inheritance.
Mm-hmm. So that was a surprise to her.
Yeah. She had no idea at all that she had any money over there.
How did y'all connect initially?
My wife passed away about 4 years ago, and so I got pretty lonesome. I got on this mating game, and this gal, her profile came up, and she's a nice-looking gal. We kind of started hitting it off, and so at that time, I think I sent her about $6,000 to pay the Malaysian tax, a government tax on her money, and then some money for her to eat on, and she was planning on getting out of there, and coming back.
But yet you say you've met her.
Yeah.
Where'd you meet her?
I went on a service call down at, actually it was east of Rapid City on Interstate. And I emailed her like the day before, and I told her that I was going to be coming through Rapid, and I asked her if she wanted to have lunch together.
This was before she went to Malaysia?
Yeah.
And this is how long?
It's been going on for a year and a half.
And how much have you sent her?
A lot of money.
We're talking about a lot of money here, because if you, in September, you sent her $9,810 because you gave us the records for this stuff. Then in October, $20,000. Then November, $18,000. December, $28,000. January, $5,500. It just kept going along until you get to a total of $138,873. Did you ever decide maybe you just ought to go over there to Malaysia and see about this?
Yeah, I don't have a passport, so.
Well, you can get one for less than $138,000.
I realize
we
that.
go down to the courthaus and they'll give you one down there for about $1.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a break. I got to take a break. I need to take a break. Mort says he was banned by Western Union from wiring any more money to Carrie Davis in Malaysia. So he found another alternative. Find out how he got $21,000 out of the country and why it could land him behind bars. We'll be right back.
I sent cash in magazines using UPS. I would take probably about this many hundreds, put them in an envelope, package this money up like this, seal the envelopes up, open the book at about the center of the book, and I taped the envelope into the book so it wouldn't fall out. Then I put another envelope in and taped the third one in there. So if they opened the envelope up and took it out, the money would still be in the book, hoping that Carrie would get this, sent it with UPS. We did it several times. It worked fine.
So you've been smuggling money to her in magazines.
That's what I told him. You don't know if the money's going over there for a drug scam, for prostitution.
But you've been smuggling her money in magazines, right?
Well, yeah, I guess that's what it is.
The penalties for doing that, bulk cash smuggled out of the U.S. without reporting it, is imprisonment for a period of up to 5 years, and they can seize all the money and any of the property associated with the person who's sending the money. They can seize your property, they can seize your farms, they can seize everything, and they're being very, very rigid about this because they don't want people sending money out of the U.S. and getting it to the Taliban or other enemies of the United States. And they take this very seriously at this point.
Absolutely. And UPS has been put on notice. They see this continually. They report that to the federal authorities, and they're actively probably have 100 investigations going right now on this type of smuggling.
Well, I couldn't figure out how he was sending it since he was banned from Western Union and everything else. So I asked our local UPS guy if Dad was sending any packages, and he goes, yes, he is. And he called his supervisor, and I got on the phone with her, and she said that they have been investigating Dad for quite a while.
That's not good. Now, one other thing I needed to share with you, Carrie says she's stuck in Malaysia, right? She says she's stuck there and she's trying to get her $2.5 million inheritance before she returns back to the U.S. But we found that same picture here. This is Carrie, right?
Mm-hmm.
This woman right here that you say you had lunch with in South Dakota, who's now in Malaysia trying to get 5 steel boxes of cash out on a boat, is actually listed on a mail order bride site in the Ukraine. How you reckon that's happening?
I don't know.
By the way, we're showing these pictures knowing that this is probably not the picture of a scammer. Whoever she is, we want her to know her photo is being used to perpetrate a scam. So we're not saying that that person is a bad egg. Mort, it breaks my heart to tell you this, but not one thing about this story confirms to be what you're told it is. Carrie Davis is a made-up persona. I mean, you could do it. You could call yourself Susie Q and go get a picture and cut and paste it up there and start typing stuff up. You've only talked to her essentially once on the phone. The other one didn't connect, and it's I mean, come on. Can you entertain the possibility that this person doesn't exist?
Oh, I guess I'll have to believe it. I mean, you've investigated this thing, and all I've done is probably send 1,500 emails to her, and she basically told me that she wants to move over here and get married and bring her all of her money over here and everything.
But you know, the truth is that if that was the case, it would have happened by now, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been going on for a year and a half on this.
And the thing I want you to do is stop sending money.
Well, I'm not going to do it anymore.
And look, they're investigating you. You can't be doing this. Yeah.
He wants to send 9,000 when we get back.
You do? You want to send 9,000 when you get back?
No. Well, she wanted me to. Yeah.
Carrie did.
It isn't going to happen. You're never going to meet this person because they don't exist. Mm-hmm. And I don't take pleasure in telling you that.
Yeah, well.
I take pleasure in you stopping sending money. You're a nice man. You don't deserve this. I want you to stop doing this. I got to tell you, you're in front of millions and millions of people right now, a bunch of them from Dakota. I got a sneaking suspicion you may not be as lonely as you were before you came here. Alicia, I know you have an overwhelming amount of medical bills, and when Aflac heard your story, they wanted to help. Aflac provides protection that allows people to focus on recovery because they know they will have money to take care of whatever they need. Now, while you focus on getting better, Aflac stands behind you so that you can stay ahead of your bills. Alicia and Kurt, Aflac wants to give you a check for $25,000 just to help you. There to give you the check is Aflac's Chief Operating Officer, Teresa White. Teresa, thank you so much for being there.
You're just so strong, and we really, really appreciate you sharing your story. And it's just been phenomenal what you've been through, and we hope that this can help you in some small way with your bills.
Thank you very, very much.
So thank you so much, Teresa and Aflac, and also a very special thanks to Doug Kane, former Supervisory Special Agent of the FBI and President of Risk Control Strategies. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship and needs help, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Thank you so much for being here. So long.